Uncommon Sense with the Senior Delinquents.
Although I was born and raised in Los Angeles, my home for the past 30 years has been Las Vegas.
Viva Las Vegas! Viva Las Vegas! Viva Las Vegas!
There's a lot to see and do here, but Nevada is a big state with a Western culture and many other places to explore. We are calling this show Road Tripping. Welcome to another edition of the Senior Delinquents. I'm Dennis Silvers here in Las Vegas, along with my co-host in beautiful Tampa, Florida, Jamie McWilliams. Great to see you again, my friend.
Same here, Dennis. You know, part of the reason for this show is that when I go back to when I first worked in Columbus, Ohio at a TV station, WBNS, and I had only been there because I was on the track team competing, but I just liked Columbus. So when I got a job there, your first inclination is, never having lived there and looking at Ohio, let's take a look around at what it has to offer. Well, here's something I found. When you asked people what they saw and what they'd like to do in Columbus, and these were people who lived there their whole lives, that say, what? I don't know. Never heard of it. So there were places like the Ohio State Museum of History that was free. We went to see that. Now, there were some really big events like the Ohio State Fair, which was really considered one of the premier in the country, as opposed to when we lived back in Pennsylvania. The Pennsylvania State Fair was lame, to say the least. The New Jersey State Fair in Trenton was even worse. And back in those days, they had strip shows, and people bring their flashlights for obvious reasons. Just weird stuff like that. I have a question for you now. You are somebody who is a transplant, but you've been there for many, many, many years. Did you come in and explore the great state of Nevada?
I absolutely did. There are some beautiful places in the state of Nevada to visit, and like everybody, I migrated up to beautiful Lake Tahoe, which is unbelievably gorgeous. Also, Reno, the biggest little city in the world, which is kind of like a small Las Vegas. They've got some stuff, but it's primarily casinos and hotels. Mesquite, just about 100 miles east of us, on the way to Utah, has some beautiful, beautiful golf. And I'm sure you've been to Nevada, Jamie. You've been to some of these places. What have you taken away from that?
Well, we did several shows from Mesquite, but I did one touring trip, a fam trip, prior to doing the Traveling Golfer show, and that was up in the Reno Tahoe area, and I found it really fascinating. We started out at the higher elevation. We were in snow. Here up in the Sierras, this is what you can get. Of course, this can turn into this in just one day.
Yeah.
The other thing is that there's a quirkiness, especially at the border between Nevada and California. A guy on a motorcycle told us about a very unusual casino.
There is no gambling on the California side. There's entertainment, swimming pools, things of that nature. Frank Sinatra was one of the owners. There's all kinds of histories about secret trap doors and things like that. And if you ever go there, there's actually a line that goes through parts of the casino where it's in California and part of it is in Nevada.
Soaking up the rays in Nevada and California. The water's a little warmer in California, but I'm not sure why.
Jamie, I know you've been on the road a lot lately, and after a brief word from our sponsor, I want to come out because I'm eager to find out what you saw.
You know me as Larry Klayman, the founder of both Judicial Watch and Freedom Watch. Do not be fooled by the Republican victory in the House of Representatives and in Congress, because nothing will change for the next 2 years. Joe Biden will continue to be the president. He will veto everything the Republicans want. He will not enforce the rule of law. We at Freedom Watch must do this. Please contribute at freedomwatchusa.org, and please get my book, It Takes a Counter-Revolution, Wake Up America, God Save America.
Jamie, I know you worked in New York for a number of years, and that was one of your recent spots. Tell us about that.
Well, I've been to New York quite a few times because our daughter lives in Queens with our son-in-law, and she manages a restaurant there very successfully. But this trip, we decided to see some other things, so we took a trip to the Bronx.
Here on a Wednesday in New York at the Botanical Gardens, it's a special day, free admission. Wow, what a deal, until you see that the parking is $22.
Now, you might remember that one other road trip not too long ago, I visited the Gutfeld show, and I was tossed off, but maybe because of what happened and people looking at it, this time when I went back, a guy with a wink said, well, we've changed our policy, and I was actually able to take some shots during the show. So you know that old adage, some things end well.
And somebody told me that you were showcasing our Senior Delinquent t-shirts. Wonderful.
I also went out west to Arizona. I had been to Arizona for various reasons many, many times. Heck of a difference going from the Big Apple to Phoenix and Scottsdale.
Oh, yeah.
Burr.
Here in the Arizona mountains, whether it's summer or wintertime, the scenery is always spectacular.
This was the media classic, which had gone on for 20 years, and I'd been to 7 or 8 of them, but this was the final year for it. So I made the most of it. In addition to being there, playing some really great courses like Weekapaw, True North, and Greyhawk, I saw a coyote at True North and I wanted to rescue it. Elaine put the kibosh on that. But I was able to adopt a migrant from Japan.
Bonsai!
So even though it was the last of the media classics, we stayed at a great resort, Weekapaw, and it went out with style and a great way to start a new year.
Jamie, it sure sounds like you were on the road a lot. And when you got back home to Florida, I'm sure, number one, you were very happy and you figured, you know what? I'm going to stay here. I'm going to take a little bit of a respite. What did you do?
We didn't take a little bit of a rest. We wanted to explore more of our new home state. So we went up to the Panhandle, we stayed right on the beach, and we saw a lot of interesting things there. There's a big Air Force base right near there, and I knew we were close because when we stopped to eat, military people were there having lunch with us. We went to the base, and it was fascinating.
What better way to spend the holidays than seeing some of the most destructive weapons ever developed by the United States Air Force?
You know, I'm really disappointed. This was going to be my new drone, but they won't let me take it on the airplane with me when I want to use it.
Also, the terrain there is a little different. The Florida beaches are very, very flat, and while the sand areas are flat, there's a lot of dunes up in that area, a lot of wind, and it's inspired me to begin a new project.
My resolution for next year is to shoot the movie Dune, but on a budget.
Well, having seen the great northern part of Florida, it was time to head south. I'd been to Miami before doing a highlight film of the Dolphins when I was at NFL Films for other projects, but not really there to sightsee. So this time, while we stayed in Fort Lauderdale, let my wife see what Miami was all about. I learned a lot of interesting things. First, I think in Fort Lauderdale, I don't know for sure if it's a law, but it seems like you have to have a white car to really be a resident there. Tons of white cars. Now, going down to Miami, we decided to take in some culture.
I'm here at the Ziff Opera House in Miami, where they're staging the Nutcracker. But outside, where they have
The construction, the packed car lots. We also experienced the ball buster. I'm here in Miami Beach, and I'm in the Deco district. That's why I wore my Deco shirt. I love it. And in that Deco area, that's where they actually shot a very, very riveting scene from the movie Scarface.
Okay.
Even though you can't park here like they did in Scarface because it's a bike lane, if you go to this hotel, you better bring your chainsaw with you. But on the other hand, there's a CVS next door if there are any problems. Also up in our areas, what people don't realize is that the Everglades begin right at the edge of where we stayed. So we decided to go out and look at the Everglades a bit on one of the guide boats, which are airboats.
Hold on tight. We're about to get fast.
After the ride, I talked briefly with the airboat captain. I asked him, because he is a captain, had he ever married anybody on one of his boats? He said, yeah, he married a couple alligators, but the reception sucked because all they served was Gatorade. As part of the package, we took in the Gator Show, and I got to interview a person who I think might be the only stand-up alligator comedian in the country.
It's a niche market. There was an open position and the manager knew me and said, hey, I need a new alligator wrestler.
You write your own material?
Yeah, you gotta work on your script, but we got plenty of practice.
I asked him, did he take this job because he loved comedy or was it a snap decision? I also asked him whether he thought he was ready for America's Got Talent because they like animal acts.
One of those days that TV contract slides across my desk, I'm ready, baby.
Future star in the making. After all this travel, we finally came back home, relaxed a little bit, but you and I will be on the road, not so far from me, but you're coming in from Nevada for a show that now is back big time.
We're going to be together again soon. We're both going to be in Orlando at the revitalized PGA show, which I'm looking forward to, not only to seeing you, but to enjoying a very, very good show. And speaking about good show, go to our website, seniordelinquents.com, or you could catch us on YouTube or even on Rumble. You're going to have a great time doing it.
So until we meet again in the near future, all I can say is, hi-ho, Silvers, away.